Okay, so I just finished doing the video for week 13 code along, and I was thinking about how could we take this and do something with it. And I think what might be beneficial, you tell me or not, um, is actually the brainstorm some ideas. Like one thing I really appreciated in Al's coverage, I think the thing that kind of like got me thinking about stuff was when he actually was parsing the Amazon, which I told you I couldn't parse using Beautiful Soup. That, but it gave me the idea of like what application, what code would you create that would take advantage of what you've learned in this section, this web scraping, right? Because I bet you have some ideas about what that is. Like, I could imagine for me, so let me just say this. One thing I could imagine is doing a Google search for my wife's business to see if something, for her main keywords, right? What would make it, like, what comes up? Like if somebody had if I search her business, and then I search vegan food Fresno, right? Like what's coming up, because like here she does really well, so if something's changing, like I'd want to know about that, right? So that's one idea I had. It's like that would be a great thing to be able to just run a program that would go do that research and deliver back to me some kind of analysis of, at least, right, like here's the standard results I'd want back. And if I don't get those, or give me their results back, then I can analyze it in more depth. So I thought about that. So I want you to brainstorm. This is my whole point of this discussion. So let's think about, and we'll cover section 14 next week as we move into the last two sections that we're going to cover here, right? So as we move into those next week. So for this week, I just want you to brainstorm some ideas, right? See if we can get any working, working ideas should have been, or working code from your ideas. All right, so first come up with the ideas and then see how far you can get to actually make something work. Right, so I want you to come up with at least two, right? Think of a couple programs you could create from this knowledge, and then see if you can get a minimum viable. Have you heard this term MVP, minimum viable product? What it basically means, and in this case, it's actually even more minimal than what you see when people talk about this concept. It's like, do just the basics, right? Can you at least put together, something that demonstrates your concepts, right? So, right, think of at least two, attempt to create at least one. And then in your reply, you can talk about the two that you had and attempt that. Okay, so to get full points for this, you write 150 words about your idea, you post a link to the code of the one you're going to attempt, reply to two of your fellow students' posts. And that's what you do to get full points for this. And again, the idea is like now, and this is always a good time, now that you've learned a concept. And in this case, right, the concept that the overall is web scraping, right? So I actually, one of the first things I did is I went out and did some searching, and what was delightful to see is that Beautiful Soup, which we used, was a part of, a very common web search. But the second one, which is not from one of my favorite sites, but I thought I'd go look at it, actually talked about that there's a built-in function, built-in library that does some of this. Was this the one? No, thanks. Scraping. Oh, maybe it was the other one. So one of these was talking about one that you didn't have to install anything, which was always nice. If I can do it with the base code, it's always nice to do that. But it's good to know that what you've learned in this section is something that very, very much could be applied, is very common, is a very, very much used, very well used library called Beautiful Soup. So maybe one of the things you could do here is also look through their documentation. right? So actually search for, and this, hopefully you did it already. Beautiful soup, right? Go look and read their documentation because, man, they'll often have some really good examples. Like here, go through and look at quick starts. How do you get started with this? They'll often give you some good, just general examples, reading through their docs. Beautiful covers, and it shows you what version of Python this covers, which goes back to 4. So we'd want to get the more current version as well. So, and I already talked about in my write up or my code together, the idea of making sure you got code working, and reading docs is way important. And maybe that's what I should have done this week. So in your reply, you could also talk about, any challenges you had with the code long, because you heard me kind of go on a little bit rambling about what I encountered when I did that work. So, if you want to chat about, give us any feedback or just general, how did that experience go for you? I would count that in your 150 words if you didn't have like 2 clear ideas you wanted to propose. All right. Hope that helps. Talk to you later. Bye.